Welcome to another episode of Alcohol-Free Lifestyle. I am James Swanwick, and today we're talking to a lovely New Zealand woman who lives in Australia, my native country, who's 117 days alcohol-free. She's an F45 Studio owner. She has two and has just bought a third F45 Studio down there near Brisbane on the east coast of Australia. And, well, I'll let her share her experience, but she was drinking what Australian society would deem to be a very appropriate amount of alcohol. But she came to realize after many years that it was not appropriate for her and her family. She was not being present or engaged with her husband. It put some strain on the marriage. She was a mother to a young son and not being as present for her son, and not really able to handle a lot of the situations that being a business owner brings. But she's turned it all around. She's 117 days alcohol-free, and she's glowing. You'll hear it in her voice in just a moment as we listen to how Shanee Lawrence, 46, from Brisbane, Australia, did it. Just before we begin that conversation, just a reminder, if you want to have my Alcohol Freedom Formula guide, I'm happy to send that out to you. Just go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide, or you can click the link which is in the description of this very episode. Likewise, if you'd like to have a 15-minute exploratory phone call with Project 90's top coach, Victoria English, just to see which, if any, of our programs might be appropriate for you to help you and support you to reduce or quit alcohol, then you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. There's also a link in the notes of this podcast for you and support you to reduce or quit alcohol. Then you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. There's also a link in the notes of this podcast. So let's talk to Shanee Lawrence, 46, from Brisbane, Australia. Let's see how she got to 117 days alcohol-free. Tell me a little bit about what you do in Australia, Shanee.
Okay, so we own two F45 fitness franchises, so two studios just west of Brisbane, and we've just actually secured a deposit on a third. So things are a bit busy in Australia.
I can imagine. You come from my hometown of Brisbane, which is on the east coast of Australia in the state of Queensland. Did you grow up there?
No, I actually grew up in New Zealand. So I moved to Australia when I was 18 years old and started backpacking around Australia. And then I went over to England and I lived in London for 2 years and went through Europe and did the big overseas experience that we could do before this full-on pandemic happened. But then I based myself on the Gold Coast when I got back from my holidays, and I pretty much have lived in Queensland longer than I've lived in New Zealand now. So I class myself as a Queenslander who was originally from New Zealand.
Okay. And given you own two F45s and about to be a third, I would have thought that you would have been particularly health conscious or health savvy, but alcohol was getting in the way a little bit, I guess. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I honestly thought that alcohol was helping to relieve my stress at the end of the day. And sort of when I first got into my working career, I worked in tourism and hospitality. So that set a big precedent for alcohol consumption. But then that carried over into fitness, just from my perception that it helped, relieve the anxiety and the stress at the end of the day. But what I really didn't realise until I stopped drinking alcohol and have gone a number of days without alcohol and months without alcohol is it massively compounded that feeling of anxiety and stress. So, yes, you would think that, being in the fitness industry, I would be health conscious, and I was health conscious in every other aspect of what I did on a daily basis apart from consuming alcohol because of that false perception.
And what was your drink of choice, and how regularly or frequently were you drinking it?
Well, it evolved over time. I used to be a big beer drinker and then went into the spirits and then went on to the wine. So wine was my flavour of choice, sparkling wine and rosé. And look, it started off being drinking in the weekends as downtime, and then those weekends sort of turned into a Friday, and then that turned into a Thursday, and slowly over time one on a Monday was fine. And yeah, it just evolved into almost drinking every night. And it wasn't ever just one. You got that taste of alcohol in your system, and then all of a sudden this hungry, greedy monster just wanted more.
Hungry, greedy monster wanted more.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what were the ramifications of that then over time? I mean, maybe you didn't even notice it in the short term. Maybe it crept up on you over time. But what were the consequences of that kind of regular drinking?
You're so right. I didn't realize it at the start. I didn't realize it for years and years. And then I've been with my husband for 15 years, not married all of those 15 years. But it puts you almost into a state of isolation. That might be the wrong word, but you get real tunnel vision of looking for that next drink and how you're going to arrange your life around having that next drink. And that might be something as simple as, oh, where am I going to go on Sunday for lunch that my son can play? My husband can sit back and relax, and I can drink without being noticed massively. So you get a little bit selfish, self-absorbed without even realizing it until ultimately my husband pointed that out within the last couple of years. And some choices had to be made to make sure that our relationship had longevity, I suppose you could say.
So does that mean your drinking was putting some strain on the marriage? Is that what you're suggesting?
It really was, because we lived sort of half an hour from Brisbane. My husband would have to drive to wherever we were going, and I wasn't going to drive because I wanted to have a few drinks. So he ended up also feeling isolated because he had to be the sober driver, I suppose you could say. So yeah, it just. And then, your priorities around, perhaps you're going to go swimming in the lagoon or something in Brisbane, and I wouldn't swim with my son because I was wanting to sit in the bar and have a drink. So my husband would have to jump in the lagoon and swim with Oscar. So therefore he would miss out on, being with me or having lunch and stuff like that. And it just became really self-centered and self-absorbed. And now that I look back, really selfish.
How does it feel for you to describe your actions as selfish now, but in hindsight?
It hurts, to be honest, because I wasn't entirely aware that that's how he perceived it. Well, I didn't think I was doing anything wrong. I just thought, a few drinks on a Sunday, everyone's happy, but everyone was far from happy. My son might have been happy because he could play, but my husband definitely wasn't happy. He was getting sick and tired of, the same old thing, and I never want to leave. So, once we were having lunch or something like that, I wouldn't want to leave, straight away. I want to sit there for a good, 4-hour lunch session. and that made him resentful over time. So yeah, it hurts looking back that I did that.
Thank you for sharing, Shanee. What were some of the things that your husband actually said to you about your drinking habits that you maybe ignored or you received but still didn't do anything about? Like, what was literally the feedback that he was giving you?
I think the feedback come quite full on towards the end of my drinking because he was so resentful, and because he's not necessarily the peacekeeper, but he likes to, keep the family unit together on the weekends and stuff like that. So I think he went along with it for a period of time, perhaps hoping that because I was voicing over the last year that I would like to stop drinking so much. I think he was hopeful that it might have happened sooner than it did. But, things take time, I suppose, and I wasn't ready then. So I could see the look on his face when I'd say, look, let's go here, almost the eye roll. But I chose to just ignore those. Didn't think they were as bad as what they were. So towards the end, he was, I don't want to do this. I don't want to have to be the one that drives. This is not fair on our family. All of those kind of things he would say. So, and I think as it got worse over time was when I realised that I had to do something pretty serious about it.
Yeah, and just to not to excuse what's happened or anything, no judgment on it at all, in fact. But what I would say is that the culture, especially in Australia and New Zealand, would be pretty much very supportive of your drinking habits, I would imagine. I mean, I grew up in Australia, so it doesn't sound like you were doing anything that most Australians would think would be out of the ordinary. That's the frightening thing to me. That's what feels shocking to me, because the culture is so supportive or non-judgmental of someone drinking every day, a few drinks here and there, and having to have their husband or their wife be the driver. And, as long as you're not getting arrested, it seems in Australia from your drinking, everything is kind of accepted. Has that been your experience as well in terms of the culture that you've grown up in?
I've literally got full body goosebumps from you saying that. There was absolutely nothing wrong in what I was doing to everyone around me, apart from my husband. The drinking culture here is insane. In fact, I remember saying to people, friends I've made over the last 4 years, especially since I've been in the fitness industry, you don't drink? What do you mean you don't drink? And looking at them like they were weird. It's so supported in every social situation. There is Sunday lunch, barbecues. We have challenges that we do 4 challenges a year for our people they go in it to lose some weight or get some tone or those kind of lifestyle changes. But at the end of those 6 to 8 week challenges, we have challenge parties, and they revolve around eating not so healthy food and drinking all the way through the night. So every social situation here is just supported by excess alcohol consumption. And if you're not drinking, you're looked at like you're a little bit different. It's crazy.
It is crazy. I'm guilty of the same opinion of others, looking at them because they don't drink and thinking, "Are you nuts?" I used to be like that.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 examples. One of them was I used to be a film journalist in Hollywood, California for many years. And I interviewed the movie star Bradley Cooper when he was promoting the film The Hangover in 2009. And I met him in a hotel suite in Beverly Hills, California. And, I had to just ask him questions about what it was like making the film and a bit about his personal life and things like that. And it was just me and him in a room, 20 minutes. And one of the questions I asked him was, what's your favorite alcoholic drink? And he said, I don't drink. I gave that up about 5-6 years ago. And I remember thinking to myself, he doesn't drink? What? And straight away, I started judging him. Straight away, my thoughts were, this is not someone I'd want to hang out with, Mm-hmm. And I pressed him on it, and I said, "Oh, really? What do you mean you don't drink? Tell me more." And he goes, "Oh, yeah, I drank too much, and I hit my head on a concrete floor at a party once, and I just stopped, and that was it." And I remember just thinking, he sounds really boring, really dull, not someone I'd want to hang out with. And then I found out a few months later that Coldplay's lead singer, the band Coldplay, Chris Martin, didn't drink, and I thought, he's also someone I wouldn't want to hang out with. What's wrong with these guys? Like they need to toughen up or something. This is the ridiculous thought process that I had back then. And then, of course, in 2010, I finally stopped drinking. And I think to myself now, what was I even thinking? Thinking that they were idiots for not drinking. That is nuts, crazy. Because they seem to have done all right in life without actually having to drink alcohol. So I get what you mean, Shanee. I mean, I had that judgment of people who chose not to drink also. When did you start to turn the corner on that, do you think? When did you start to kind of rethink this?
It's been a process for probably a year and a half. Since the start of the pandemic here in Australia, my drinking got heavier than what it was, and it was already quite moderate. Moderate to quite heavy in our eyes now, but it got quite heavy through COVID just because of that, again, that perception that it helped relieve the stress and anxiety. And then because of that, I would wake up feeling horrendous. I'm one of those people, and my brother said this because I've been quite vocal about giving up alcohol on my social media platforms, because I really genuinely want to help myself, have accountability and help other people. And my brother literally commented on my post saying, I can't believe you drank for this long with the hangovers that you had. My hangovers were severe. They would down me for the day unless I would start drinking again, which would then, and I did this very frequently because my hangovers were so severe, would start drinking again at lunchtime the next day in the weekend, just to get rid of that hangover. They were that bad. So over the period of a year and a half of heavier drinking through COVID, I would just wake up feeling horrendous, and I'd have to work. And there were days that I would have to have my alarm set for 3 a.m. so that I could go and take fitness classes. And I was bloated, and just day after day after day after day of feeling like that. I'm like, what are you doing? So it just come down to the crunch. I literally was Googling one day, going alcohol free, and you popped up, and I inquired that day and got the phone call and signed up. It all happened that quickly, and my life has changed. I can't express how my life has changed since that. I wake up now feeling, I still feel tired, but I'm getting 8 hours sleep a night, and I'm getting quality sleep. I'm going into that deep sleep, and I'm like, I can't believe I used to be the way I used to be. I just can't believe I used to do that to myself day after day.
Yeah, amazing. I'm looking at an Instagram post that you posted maybe a month or so ago, and if I may, actually probably longer than that, but if I may read out just a couple of things that you said on your post, Shanee, is that okay?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you say 43 days and going strong, and you've got a big photo there, a big smiling photo of you. And you say, was I an alcoholic? No. Did I use alcohol to reduce stress or supposedly switch off? Yes. Did that work for me? Hell no. It increased my anxiety and hurt my mental health. My sleep suffered, and I was not performing anywhere near close to my best. How am I feeling at day 43? No alcohol? Freaking amazing. I am more engaged and patient. My skin is better. The brain fog is lifting. My mental health is improving. Well, that all sounds pretty good. And that was only on day 43, Shanee.
I was going to say, mate, if that's the way it was on day 43, which it was, imagine what it's like on day 117.
Is that what you are now? 117 as we're recording this?
Yes, because I gave up alcohol a week before I joined the program, because I went on a retreat. And for me, that retreat was the start of this whole process. I'd already joined the program before I went on that retreat. I joined the day before I went on the retreat, and that was a reset, because it was like a no drinking, really healthy eating, all organic food. So yeah, it's 117, and it is so much more sensational than what I can say. And the biggest shift for me in my mental health is going this long now without alcohol has done one thing for me above everything else, and that is it's allowed me to be present and right in the moment that I'm in now. It's allowed me to stop future tripping or stressing about what's going to happen in the future, which has been something I've done my entire adult life, and probably in my teens as well, having suffered anxiety. And it's just allowed me to pull myself right back into this moment when I'm starting to freak out about things that are happening, in the future, or stressing about what's going on and with COVID and everything now. It's just allowed me to go, I can't control that, what's happening right now. I've just got to be here in this moment. And I've got goosebumps again, because that for your mental health is just the best thing ever. It's so hard to explain, but it's so wonderful. So what it's allowed me to do is when I'm stressing about things in the future and what I call future tripping, it's allowed me to pull myself right back in to the present moment and realize that I have no control over what's going on in the future. Everything to do with COVID and owning a fitness studio and people being scared to come into the studio because of COVID and all of the stuff of what's going to happen, it's allowed me to come right back into this moment and be in this now and enjoy where I'm at now and not stress about what's happening out there. And for your mental health and for my mental health to not go down that steamroll of freaking out and stressing, I can't express how life-changing that is.
Beautiful. So beautiful to hear. Were many people scared to come into your F45 studio during the pandemic because of COVID, were they?
They are more so probably now,
Really?
because the variant is going around Australia right now. Like, it's our case numbers are getting more and more each day. There's a lot of people that, are maybe looking after their elderly mother or are older themselves and are really, really worried. So we're getting a lot of suspensions and cancellations coming in now, which obviously is affecting our financial situation. We're probably at the lowest membership base we've been since the pandemic hit. So, worrying about those finances is something that, you start that one little worry and it steamrolls into, oh my God, we're going to go broke. Oh my God, rah, rah, rah. Whereas now it just allows me to come back in and go, of course they'll be worried. They're allowed to be worried, but we've built up such a strong connection and community of people in our studio that once this all blows over, and it will blow over, not that we don't take it seriously, but it will blow over, it allows me to not stress about that because I know that the members will come back and everything will get back to a normal state at some time in the future. So to be able to do that is really liberating because that's not something I've ever been able to do. I would go down that steamroll of all of those negative thoughts that would compound and get stronger and stronger and stronger. And then all of a sudden you just, talked yourself into something that's likely not going to happen. And it's just really good to be here in the moment and have control over my thoughts and be able to turn those thoughts into, more logical thoughts.
And you seem like you're suggesting that those clear thoughts, more logical thoughts, your ability to be able to handle challenging situations is a result of the clarity that comes from being consistently alcohol-free. It
totally is. It's got everything to do with that. It's everything to do with that because when you've got that brain fog, and what alcohol does is it keeps you in that negative state of mind. So once you've got those negative thoughts coming in and that self-doubt coming in, it keeps you there. It wants you there. It wants you to remain there. So when you give that up and you get that out of your system, it's the clarity. That whole brain fog is lifted. That clarity is amazing. And it's feeding through every aspect of my life into my husband, into my son, and into those thoughts that I put out there for my day.
What feedback have you got from your husband now?
Life-changing, absolutely life-changing. So he's so proud and looks at me in awe, and his drinking has also slowed down a lot. He was never a massive drinker like I was, maybe in his young years, but not so much in old life. He can be one of those people that can have one drink. The feedback has just been really amazing. And although my son's too young, he's only 7, almost to turn 8, I'm more active with him. I'm more engaged with him. And that's not saying I was a bad mother. I've always been, engaged with him, but I'm more active with him. I'm more present with him. If he wants to jump in the pool now, I can jump in the pool with him instead of thinking, I want to have another glass of wine. I want to sit beside the pool and have a glass of wine. Now I'm in the pool, roughhousing with him and having fun. So, and my husband sees that and he's like, you're just so much more available and so much more present for us.
Wow, that's so lovely to hear.
It's life-changing.
And you guys are on, life-changing. And you guys are on holiday at the moment, is that right?
We're on the not so sunny Sunshine Coast.
Oh, is that
Yes,
right?
we're on holiday. Yeah, it's a little bit rainy, but that doesn't mean we haven't been in that pool. We've just been enjoying some time away. We're here for a week, and it's just lovely to just have some time as a family.
And how is this week away and time with the family different than what it would have been more than 117 days ago?
I would have been drinking every day. Holiday. There's never been a holiday I've been on before starting this program that I didn't drink and drink to excess, because that's what everyone does when they go on, or the majority of people do when they go on holiday. We would have started with cocktails beside the pool around lunchtime, and it would have just gone into the afternoon, into dinner, and then home in bed and waking up in the morning groggy and do it all over again. So I've had 2 holidays now. One when I first started this program, actually, I would have been less than a month in. That was my first holiday without alcohol, and that was harder than this one, obviously, because I've got more days under my belt. But this one's easy. It's not even I don't even think about it.
And what was the aha moment or the aha learnings inside of doing Project 90 with us that you feel has been most responsible for this turnaround? Because it's pretty incredible that you've had all of these years of cultural conditioning that drinking alcohol is okay, it's fine. You've had all these years of drinking and having brain fog and not as great skin and not being as engaged or patient and suffering from anxiety. And then suddenly it's all turned around inside of the past 117 days. So what did you learn inside of Project 90 that was the catalyst for the change?
Oh, wow. So much. I think everyone learns different things in this program. I think for me, the biggest thing, and I think for a lot of people as well, is the support that you have. There's a Marco Polo group full of people just like me. And here I was thinking, over the last year and a half, I thought to myself so many times, I thought, am I an alcoholic? And the answer to that is no, I was not an alcoholic. I just use alcohol to de-stress, or what I thought was to de-stress, to reduce anxiety, or what I thought was to reduce anxiety. But what I realized in getting into this program and learning from the coaches and all the worksheets and everything that we go through on our calls, our weekly calls, the Marco Polo group was a group of people just like me, with the same feelings and the same thoughts as me, wanting to better themselves and their families, and having that support group and not wanting to let them down. It's insane how you can join a bunch of strangers on the same journey as you and not want to let them down, and they become family so quickly. I can't explain that. But you just go through this journey together, and you learn together, and you watch people. So people come in at different times to this group. Like I might have been on day 21 and then a new person comes in, and you look at their journey starting, and you were right there. And then you're on day 21 or something, and then you watch their journey come through as the older people in the group watching your journey come through. And it becomes so liberating, and you become so empowered, and you become so strong. And it's just, you learn so much from everything, as I said, from those weekly calls to that Marco Polo group, and your mental strength gets so strong, and you start to believe in yourself with the support of the coaches. It's just everything. You nailed it. You've nailed it. It's everything is making you a better person, making me grow. So it's a combination of everything within those calls in the group that is the belief I have in myself now, as opposed to the belief I had in myself a year and a half, 6 months, ago is so good. It's so good. I'm just smiling. I'm smiling so good.
Oh, so beautiful to hear, Shanee. So what will you drink tonight?
Tonight I'm going to have my San Pellegrino, because that's what I like. And I'm partial to a mocktail every now and again when we go out for dinner, if there's a good mocktail on the list. And what I've noticed here in Australia, I think we're a bit slower than the States and other places to catch up. But what I'm seeing now is there's a massive movement to cater for people who don't drink. And that is so awesome. There's so many alternatives now that you can get as opposed to drinking. And the best thing is waking up clear-headed and not hungover in the morning. So yeah, it's the non-alcoholic drinks now, or the San Pellegrino. The way you cut up a lime, or the way you add ice to a nice glass is the routine now, and that's even more fun than pouring yourself, as what you say, expensively packaged poison, and drinking that into your body and waking up feeling like crap. The routine you have, or the joy you have of pouring something non-alcoholic into a glass and drinking that, knowing that you're still going to have that clarity, is just as nice, or is 10,000 times nicer than the perception that I had of pouring a glass of wine and waking up feeling like crap.
Yeah. And so are you able to handle other people's questions of you not drinking in a way that you never imagined that you would have been? Like, are you now confident, supremely confident to handle any challenge you get from someone who might be encouraging you to drink?
Look, for me, an issue, because I chose at the start to be vocal about my journey. However, being in the group of people, going through this course, there were many people in there that was more of a struggle for them. But to watch them take ownership of saying, no, I don't drink, has been incredibly and proud for me. As I said, these people become your family really quickly. So, you're really proud of them. I've not had an issue with saying I'm a non-drinker. In fact, I find great joy in saying I'm a non-drinker or I don't drink. So that's a very empowering sentence to say, non-drinker, or no, thank you, I don't drink. It's incredibly empowering to me. And I find great joy in saying that.
Terrific. Well, Shanee, thank you so much for sharing your journey with us. I so appreciate you being so supportive of other members as well when you were inside of Project 90, and for being vulnerable and opening up. And I enjoyed watching your public posts as well on Instagram, and looking forward to continuing to follow your journey.
Thank you, James. Thank you to you, Victoria and Sarah. Thank you for bringing this program to people. And thank you the most for letting me know that I wasn't an alcoholic, and that wasn't my term or my phrase, that I'm just a normal person with drinking, an over drinking problem like thousands and thousands and thousands of other people around the world dealing with exactly that issue. So thank you for bringing this program and allowing us to be the person that we should be, or be the person I feel now. Just thank you. Yeah, it's awesome.
You're so welcome. Thank you so much, Shanee. Be well. And to
thank
you, the listener. Yeah, to you, the listener, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you on the next one. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. I want to load you up with some free stuff. If you look in the show description, there's a link there to get my guide, which is the Alcohol Freedom Formula Guide. And in that guide, I will walk you through the process and system for successfully reducing or quitting alcohol. It's the same system and process that I give to my clients inside of Project 90. And if you would like to get your hands on that guide, you can click the link in the description part of this episode, or you can go to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/guide. Likewise, if you would like to be considered for Project 90 to join our community and get some accountability, some coaching, and have fun, achieve some goals over at least 90 days with our help and support, then you're invited to schedule a complimentary coaching call with one of my coaches. You can do that by clicking the link in the show description or going to alcoholfreelifestyle.com/schedule. Now, Project 90 is for over 30s only, and it's really for people who are ready to get long-term power over alcohol. You don't have to quit forever, but you will have to quit for at least 90 days with our support. Just a reminder, 95% of my content is free and plastered all over the internet. If you just Google James Swanwick and the word alcohol, you'll find that. For those of you who want additional support
if you want coaching, fun, accountability, if you realize that you can't do this on your own or you just plain don't want to, then I invite you to schedule that call and we can talk about if Project 90 is for you. If you would like to take some of my supplements, swanvitality.com is the website. I'll put a link in the show notes as well. I have a liver support product called Loving Liver, which I designed and specially formulated to help remove toxins from your liver after years of alcohol consumption. Again, there's a link in the show description. We've also got a green powder there, which turns into a green juice filled with amazing ingredients to support you and give you energy throughout the day. And there's also a magnesium product, which I take every night to help me prepare for sleep and to sleep through the night. So there's a few options there. Lastly, if this episode or the show in general has helped you or supported you in any way, I would so appreciate it if you would write a review. It really does help the show climb the rankings and expose the show to people who don't yet know about us. So if this show has benefited you in any way and you feel compelled to pay it forward, just writing a short little review, hopefully a nice one, will be so appreciated and I will thank you immensely. Lastly, if you'd like to talk to me about anything at all, feel free to send me an email at james@alcoholfreelifestyle.com. I do read and respond to every email. And you can also follow me on Instagram at @JamesSwanwick. Send me a message there. And I look forward to connecting with you soon. Catch you on the next one.